Finally we're here. It's great.
I am going to be working at a caring institution.
I'll be at a prep school.
Yeah, it's great. Fantastic.
Well, the benefits of taking a year off for me are getting some time away from home, starting out a life of my own, getting some idea of what the real world's like, I guess. And also over here I'm getting a lot of experience in an industry that I never thought I'd enjoy working in. So,
GAP is an educational charity, 25 years old. We have 160 plus people working voluntarily for GAP, both in the United Kingdom and in our countries overseas, supported by a salaried secretariat at GAP House in Reading, numbering 18. We are currently sending close to 1,400 young people to work in 33 different countries, and one shouldn't forget that GAP is an exchange organisation bringing over 300 young people from abroad to undertake voluntary work in the United Kingdom.
From the host's point of view, I think it's great because you're bringing different perspectives, a different culture of sorts, even though we're similar in a lot of ways.
You've got to come here and experience to know what it's all about, but it is definitely worthwhile and you learn so much. It's such a challenge.
Project managers like me are usually retired professional people, either from the world of education or the diplomatic service or the military or business, and we are just a collection of men and women who are interested in doing this sort of job. It's very rewarding, quite exhausting at times, but I know that everybody really enjoys doing it.
We believe it's important that every project is visited, every placement is checked up to make sure it is safe and a worthwhile project.
When one visits reciprocals, we're putting over very much the fact that there is someone nearby who can actually be there on hand should there be any need. And it's very nice for us to be able to see them in placement and also perhaps sort of scotch any problems that there might be to start with, and make sure that the placements are actually serving them well.
We are supported very strongly by the British government and by the British Council. We're a market leader because of our experience, our numbers and our range of countries and type of work.
I think we're looking for someone who's going to be resilient, who's going to be able to cope, who's not going to sort of fade, someone who's got some balance, got some humour, terribly important, someone who is fun really and really wants to do it, and I think that's terribly important.
It's got to be a two-way thing. They need to be friendly, sensible, eminently good-natured and good-humoured, and fairly responsible.
GAP students who come to us come in the spirit of wanting to learn more about the country and wanting to be a volunteer rather than a paid member of staff.
As a reciprocal host, I liaise very closely with the GAP organisation. My staff and I talk regularly to the GAP organisation and their representatives, and I send a very detailed specification as to what my school is looking for from an overseas student.
Well, I've been keen to have foreign language assistance ever since I came to the school, and when I heard about the GAP project, it seemed to be the most suitable way of providing assistance to come and work here.
Aujourd'hui, on va parler de ce que vous allez faire pendant vos vacances d'été. Qu'est-ce que tu fais cet été?
Once they arrive, they actually join in the new staff induction day. So we have a whole day at the beginning of term where we go through everything, all the rules, all the routines. Each GAP student has her own room. All the accommodation is slightly different, but they get full board and lodging. They get all their meals. They can obviously stay here at the weekends as well if they need to, although they're not on duty. And they can stay in the holidays, but normally they tend to want to travel at that time.
I saw this brochure called someone from GAP Association. They came to interview me, and I came here in September, and someone, a house mistress, was waiting for me in the airport and drove me to Queen Anne.
I am the Spanish assistant. I have some lessons with 2 or 3 girls per hour.
and I also help in one of the houses in the school. I have to do some duties like I have to ring the bell in the morning, I have to do the lights, I have to do break duty, things like that.
It makes it easier because they're actually from sort of Spain and France and things, so it's easier to understand what they're saying, and they can teach you lots of different things as well that you don't necessarily learn in your lessons.
As she's more our age, it's easier to talk to her and stuff.
It's actually very good for us to know that the volunteers have been selected by GAP, because they actually manage to screen and remove people who wouldn't be suitable for us. So we find that the people who do come to us are both good in the language labs and good pastorally, which is vital. It's absolutely wonderful having the GAP students here. I don't know how we'd do without them.
GAP have sent students to True Loves over many years. I think, as far as I'm aware, probably over about the last 8 years or so. And the students come to get the experience of working with people with learning disability and to work within a staff team, and they support both the staff and the residents in their daily lives, helping them get up in the mornings, dressing, washing, assisting with meals and cooking for them, those that aren't able to cook for themselves. By GAP selecting the GAPers to come to us, it gives us an indication that the GAP organisation feel that these people could fit into our situations.
Oh, I've settled in the very first moment I got here. I loved the place, the layout of the place, the accommodation. I love the residents here, they are great. It's good fun to be with them. And the staff is very open-minded and, you know, jolly people basically. We get accommodation here, we get food and some other expense, so it's not that bad because the pocket money is quite enough to go out, have a drink and go away from time to time. It's made me more aware that the world is not perfect. Not everyone can be healthy and, you know, do things themselves. But on the other hand, I've realized that it's not a tragedy. It just, as we are different, all of us are different, those people are different than us, in another way.
We get them to work on projects where they're actually going to be able to see a finished product, as in the actual sold product. We do everything from watering with the trainees to pricking out, planting new plants, and everything to do with horticulture of sorts. Appreciation you see of these guys' faces when you do something so little for them, it's really rewarding. You cannot make judgments because you're going to have to do to put it bluntly, some pretty horrible work, but the rewards you see from it are really good.
We find that we all benefit from that. The full-time members of staff, the volunteers, the GAP volunteers in particular. It broadens your life skills. It gives you perhaps a maturity that you wouldn't get if you were just at school or at college.
We are not staff in that we don't have some of the responsibilities in that we cannot do medication, and we are not directly responsible for certain residents. We work 35 hours a week, and in my case that also includes 2 days in horticulture. It's all organised for you. GAP gave us a letter of invitation into the country, which we presented at the immigration border. That let us through, and that let us work at our placements. We had to pay for our airfare, had to pay for insurance, we had to pay a small administration fee for things like that. Some people had to pay for transport to the places they're working. I was lucky I had a ride.
That's what you'll find, say, the first 2 weeks it may seem all a bit daunting and you don't know what's going on. But now, I mean, it's life for me. It's just like anybody else. The clients to me are just like my friends would be at home. I don't see anything wrong with them now. You sort of look beyond that and now it's just simple. It's just your job and you get in there and do it and enjoy it, and it's great.
For a boarding school, I would suggest that you can always find a little room somewhere, a single room and a bathroom to pop a GAP volunteer in, because the benefits are immense. They do all sorts, from taking the laundry, sorting it out, placing it on the beds, chatting to the children, taking them to London if they need to go to a remedial dance clinic.
They get an idea of maybe another country or a new language or a different way of looking at things.
It's hard work because they're very long days. You start early and finish quite late, but it's fun.
It's very helpful because Samantha helps get them up in the morning, and that suits me because I don't like to get up early.
They're welcome into the common room. They are seen as young members of staff with responsibilities, and they're explained as such to all the parents in the parental letters. The responsibility for the host school is actually very considerable because it is a 24-hour-a-day responsibility. Even if they're here during holiday times, there is an adult around. Part of the adult community of the school would still be based. We wouldn't just all desert them. There's always somebody here for them.
The GAP organisation obviously come to the school and find out how the students are getting on and talk to them and see how they've settled in and if we've got any problems, if they've got any problems. I think it's all very well organised, certainly.
I actually went through my school, through my careers advisor, and found out about it that way. Just went through the interview process and I got a place, and here I am. At the moment we're taking a kayaking session with some special needs children. Okay, we do all sorts of work. I'm also climbing, instructing, doing abseiling, river canoeing. So basically we work as instructors at this outdoor centre. At the moment we actually live on site. We live in a manor house, so we have the top floor of a manor house to ourselves. We don't get paid an awful lot here. Being volunteers, we basically get pocket money, and food is taken care of by the centre, so we don't have to pay for food. It's basically beer money.
Besides teaching the kids, there's a lot of estate work and a thing called changeover. It's just making the beds and just cleaning up the accommodation. But it's all in house bursts. You just crank up the music and away you go. It's good fun.
We've always found that GAP have recruited good quality people for us with the right qualities, and they've always been bright, energetic young people that we've been able to train readily to fulfil the functions we want them to. It's young people who really want to work in this kind of environment, in the outdoors, with young people, perhaps young people from all sorts of backgrounds, but some of them are really quite difficult young people. Some of them would have disabilities, learning problems. So it needs to be people who want to work with those kinds of children and young people and really get in there and give body and soul to it, really. Well, it usually starts with the appropriate person from GAP, and from there on various correspondence happens, and I quite often speak to people on the phone before they come, or we certainly write to them about 3 times before they come, sending lots of information, and eventually everybody arrives in March.
I think it's a definite must if you want to get away from university for a year or get away from school before you go to university. Relaxes you, gets you ready for next year, helps you to grow up heaps more.
Volunteering is of course something very important, because if you're young and you learn volunteering, you learn to pay your tribute to the society, because you're working in another surrounding, in another country, for the community.
I think GAP is an excellent scheme, and I think it gives a lot to the young people who participate in it, a lot that enables them to improve their career prospects going forward.
I think it should be made, as a matter of fact, compulsory for every student, wherever they are, to visit other countries for a longer period of time. They can learn a lot, they can experience a lot, and I'm sure that after having spent 6 months or a year abroad, they will go home a different person.
I know a lot of young people have changed their minds since they've been with us as to what they want to do, and I think that can be very much for the good, to really clarify what they want to do for the rest of their lives.
They go back with a wider vision, a wider knowledge, and I think a more detailed understanding of how we live, as much as we learn more about how they live. And that way, the notion of a one world outlook is furthered.
We would very much like to see more young people coming to Britain under GAP's auspices.
It's definitely benefit for all of us, to the school, to the children, and for me as well.
We do have to find hosts in the United Kingdom, whether it be schools, caring institutions.
Just the giving and the growing up and the enormous sort of togetherness they seem to display by the end of their 5 months or their 6 months or whatever it is a tremendous satisfaction and reward, and I love it.